Hey, I'm Scotty T from Your Comedy Minute. I have an absolute comedy legend, a comedy legend here today, and I mean it. I couldn't be. Cathy Ladman's here. It's an honor to have you here, Cathy. I mean that from the
Thank
bottom of
you
my
so
heart.
much. That's
I
really
told
sweet
you
of you.
off air. I watched you back. You know, so many years, and I'm
So
just.
many years. That's how old I am. For so many years, you can't even count it.
I didn't mean it that way. I
I
didn't mean it
know,
that way.
I know, I know. But I'm about to, in June is my 44th uh,
Right.
anniversary doing comedy.
Yeah, there's a bit on one of the Instagram or one of them I saw where you said that 44 years. Well, that's why I want to start. You're in Los Angeles now, but
hmm
you're from New York, right?
I am from New York originally. Yes, from
Right.
Queens,
That's
New
that's what I
York.
was going to get at.
Yes,
And when you first started it, go back 44 years if you can.
yes,
Was
I
there a
can.
catalyst? Was there something that said, Kathy, do comedy?
Yes. I used to listen to my parents had some comedy albums and I used to listen to them and I used to watch every Sunday night I would watch comics on the Ed Sullivan show
Right.
and if I could ever stay up late when I was very little I would watch late night
Yeah.
Johnny Carson or but I mean I was probably much older, a little older yet when I was watching that. But the my favorite album that my parents had was Nichols and May Examine Doctors.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever listened to Nichols and May,
No, I
but
didn't.
well, it's very, very worth listening to. You can go
Okay.
on YouTube and listen. And very sophisticated humor. I was 8 years old. I don't know how I connected with it at
Right.
the age of 8, but I did. And I memorized the whole album. And I used to do a selection off the album every night for my mother when she'd come in and say goodnight to me.
No lie.
No lie.
You saying that, I grew up on my parents had Mom's Mabley records
Right.
and Red Fox, Dad had Red Fox. And I don't know if you ever remember the Bickersons, Don and
Well,
Michi.
I don't remember hearing them, but I remember the name, the
Yeah,
big,
and I was the
yes.
same way. I grew up on comedy, but mine was my parents, had a little racier stuff.
Yes, yes. I know my parents were not into blues stuff. And then years later, I did a movie directed by Mike Nichols, and I
Okay,
was standing right next to him. I've told
right,
this story many times. I was standing right next to him, shoulder to shoulder,
right.
and he was setting up a shot, and I don't know what came over me, but I just started to do something off the album, and I said gauze, and he said gauze. And I said, more gauze. He said, more gauze. And we started doing the whole thing, but I got confused because his character was supposed to start. The male, the doctor in the sketch was supposed to start. And I was supposed to be the nurse. I would have been the nurse then.
Right.
But I got mixed up because I was basically being Mike Nichols and he was being Elaine May. But it was the most thrilling thing. And I said, I said, you don't know what it's like to be doing this with Mike Nichols. And he said, you don't know what it's like to be Mike Nichols. And it was just the most thrilling thing that has ever happened to me.
Nichols and May. I'll have to look it up.
Oh yeah, it's
I will. I will.
Nichols. Yeah.
I know the name. Comedians that inspired you when you were young, beyond that.
Um, I would say, well, when I was really becoming interested in doing stand-up, I was listening to George Carlin, I was listening to Robert Klein,
Yeah,
and I was listening to Lily Tomlin, even though she wasn't a stand-up, but I loved her talent.
yeah.
And I found her incredibly inspirational.
I had a
Um,
conversation with George Carlin, believe it or not.
you did?
Yeah.
When was that?
I was working for RCA at the time, and the guy was trying to put out re-release all of his Toledo window box and all the old eight tracks. So my first eight track was Toledo window box.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm an old guy. I'm 62.
You're not
Uh,
old. I'm 69.
hey, oh Jesus, they read it, they're stifled. Back when I was a boy, everybody was an American. Archie Bunker, a little Archie Bunker for you, best I could
Yes.
do.
Oh God,
Yeah,
what
I
a
grew up on that
show.
stuff, and
Yeah, me too.
yeah, all that stuff, and it's different.
hmm
You've been on TV many times. The Tonight Show 9 times. Late Show with
10
Greg.
actually, 10
Yeah,
times.
well, the anniversary show. You're the only woman to
No,
be.
but yes,
Oh,
but I was on 2 years ago with Jimmy Fallon.
oh, no lie. Okay, look,
Yeah,
we got to update these people that put this crap together. I could smack them
it's okay.
10 times. Late Show with Craig Ferguson, HBO special, and Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah,
Curb, a huge fan of Curb.
what great show. Yeah,
Yeah.
great show.
Well, and what's funny, in doing my research today, because again, I admire you so much, but I wanted to make sure that I like to dig up as much as I can. I didn't know that you were, and maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Jerry Seinfeld's first girlfriend.
Well, I don't know if I was his
Well,
first,
whatever, a
but
girlfriend.
he was my first serious boyfriend. I was 15 and he was 16, and we were on
Oh,
a
okay,
teen tour together in Israel. And I told him that I wanted to be a stand-up comic.
okay.
And I told him that he would be a great stand-up comic.
Well, and the reason I brought it up is because I watched some stuff today. I try and again watch as much as I can. You talked about, and because I had George on the show, he told his rendition of it
Hmm.
that George Wallace got a gig with Red Fox.
Yes.
And George was talking about that. Can you tell your version of it? Because I just think it's a great story.
Well, when I moved out to LA the first time, I was a teacher, an English teacher outside of Philly. And I didn't want to do that. I never wanted to really do that, but
Okay.
I had gone out to California on a vacation over the summer, and I decided, this was 1977, I decided that I was going to move out to LA to pursue stand-up. Now, Jerry was in New York at the time, Larry Miller was in New York, the
Yes.
whole group of them were in New York. And I think the reason that I didn't want to move back to New York was, it probably was manyfold, but one of the reasons was that it was almost too accessible, and I was so scared to do it. And I thought that the reason I wasn't doing it is because I wasn't in Los Angeles. I was just making it a bigger issue than it was because I was so scared to do it. So I did indeed. My dad drove cross country with me in my car. We
Okay.
took about 10 days, and he left me in LA. And Jerry had sent me to see George Wallace, who had just moved out to LA because he got a job writing for Red Fox on his variety show
Yeah.
for $1,000 a week.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what George said.
this was huge
Right.
money. And I remember, being in George's apartment, and he was saying, just take out your legal pads and just write. And I was terrified. And I lasted 4 months in Los Angeles that time.
Really?
And
Huh.
I was too young and too terrified to do it. So I went back to New York and didn't come back out and then I didn't start stand up in earnest until 1981.
Okay. And that was in New York.
That was in New York, yes.
Okay.
And it was the best place to start. I mean,
Right.
way better than Los Angeles because there were so many more stages. It was easy to get on stage every night if you could,
Yeah.
Um, and that's how you get better faster is you get on stage more.
Right. Yeah. Another one that I met, and you brought that up, is Rodney Dangerfield. I met Rodney. And
Wow.
I go back. That's why, like I said, it's so special for me to have you on because you talk about Larry Miller and all those comedians. I mean, I grew up on those guys.
Right.
Just loved
Right.
them. Just loved them.
Where now don't tell me where you are.
No, no. We're not. This isn't called Scott's Comedy Minute. It's
No,
called.
I know, but are you outside of
Just stop. Just
Philly or
stop. I'm
South?
not. We'll have to come back another time. I don't take
Because
personal
I'm
questions. I
picking up
love you, but
something
I'm
on your
not going to do it.
accent. All right, all right.
I will. Would you really want to know?
Well, I do. I think
All
you're
right. I do. I do a bit about it, so I'll do my little bit. I do about it.
okay.
I don't care if you're lesbian, if you're gay, if you're straight, you're bi, you're pansexual, asexual, whatever you are, I don't care. I come from York, Pennsylvania.
That's right.
A guy had sex with a sheep where I'm from.
I knew it was outside of Philly.
York,
Okay.
Pennsylvania, where the men are
Yes.
men and the sheep are scared. Let's get
Yes.
back to you. There you go. Was there any other questions? I'll take one more
No,
question.
that's it. But
That's
I was
it?
just hearing, I
Okay.
was hearing when I was a teacher in Abington,
Oh no.
Pennsylvania,
Go ahead.
I could hear that O in the kids'
Well, you
accents.
know what? You brought it up. So you mentioned, oh, I'm an Orioles fan.
Oh,
And
okay.
I know that you are a huge Dodgers fan. Is that
Well,
correct?
yeah, but I'm really pissed off at
We're
them
not, wait,
because,
before, let me just ask my question.
okay,
Congratulations, because you're a Dodgers fan and you won the World Series last year.
yes.
But you're from New York, and I wondered, they played the Yankees.
I'm not a Yankees fan. I'm a
Yeah,
Mets fan.
that was going to be
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I grew up on the Mets.
Okay. So go ahead. I'm sorry. You were going to tell me
That's okay. I'm just pissed because
you're pissed.
my friend and ex-boyfriend Steve Middleman, who was a great comic, and you would love to have him on probably
Well,
too.
well, he's your ex-boyfriend. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't
Oh,
want to
he's
piss you
great.
off.
He's a good friend. He's a good
Well,
friend of mine.
good, good.
He
Put
texted
in a
me the
word
other
for me.
day. He texted me the other day and he told me that the Dodgers, something about the Dodgers, like that they're the biggest losers or something. And I said, "What? What's going on?" They're going to the White House. And
Oh my.
I
Oh
am so
my.
disgusted. I am so disgusted that they're doing that.
Well, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Oh, so you had a good year.
Well, and guess where the Eagles are going?
They're going to the White House?
Here,
Ugh.
Kathy. I'm going to really upset you. They're going to see our.
Ah.
They're going to see. It's a Donald Trump talking doll.
Ugh. Oh, I'm sure it's smarter than the
No,
actual.
somebody gave it to me. Don't. I don't want to upset you.
That's
Uh,
okay.
you've
I'm
done
all right.
you've done some movies. The latest one was what is it called? Rally Caps.
Yes,
How was that?
that was a lot of fun. It was a
It
lot of
looked like
fun.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Do
we
you
shot it in a camp in upstate New York.
do you enjoy the acting as much as you do the stand up or not?
Yes,
Do
I
you?
do.
Yeah.
I love acting. Yeah,
Okay.
I love
So
it,
we
and
can we can plan
it.
on seeing you in more stuff.
I hope so. It's great. I mean, things have really slowed down in Los Angeles. A lot of production has left the
Yeah.
city, so that's kind of a bummer.
Let me ask you, and this is I'm an idiot. You probably know that. We've known each other a little bit.
Hmm.
A favorite memory out of all these 44 years, and then the one that I want, I'm an idiot. The least favorite, something
I,
that went bad, where it was
a
just terrible,
a
terrible.
favorite memory of the last 44 years has to be the Mike Nichols story that I
Okay.
told you. The least favorite, most horrible thing, I mean, I assume you're asking in my
See,
career.
see, I'm laughing already. You can tell I'm an
The
idiot.
worst one was after I'd been doing comedy for about a year,
Okay.
and I was booked to do this place outside of Philly called the Tap Room in
I know it.
Ambler,
I know it.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I was, this was, I was still being too nice on stage. I really hadn't found my voice yet. And I wore a skirt, which I would never wear on stage now.
Right.
And and it was a very rough room. And I'm doing my set, and it's getting louder and louder and louder. And then they started throwing things at me on stage.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. It was so horrible. And I actually said, this is how naive I was. I
Uh,
actually said thank you and good night. I thanked them. I mean, what kind of low self-esteem is that?
Hey, thanks. Hey, you back there, you got a pretty good
Thank
arm. You
you.
do that really well.
Thanks for that bottle. A bottle, actually, yeah. Um, I mean, it was terrible. And I was taking the train back to New York at around midnight, and my best friend at the time lived in Philly. And we went to a Friendly's
Oh
and we got
yeah.
Dribbles, and I was crying because I felt horrible.
Right.
And she wrote me a note, which I wish I still had it, but I've moved too many times and it's gotten lost. Maybe I'll find it one day, who knows? But she wrote a note on uh, a napkin, and it said, "You are very funny.
Yeah.
If you ever need to know, just call me and I will tell you." And I wrapped that in plastic wrap and kept it for years until I don't
Yeah.
know where it is. But I will never forget that.
No, and she was right. She's right.
And
You
she's
are
been my best friend now for close to 49 years.
wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. I want to get to the last part here, but I saw this today on your YouTube page, and I did a double take that you were a contestant on Wheel of Fortune.
Yes. Yeah,
That
I
was so
haven't. Did
wild.
you see the tape?
I saw not only I watched the tape. What was it like 1989?
It was
No,
1985.
but you won like $25,000.
I won, but back then it wasn't
Oh,
cash, so I won a lamps
yeah, okay.
stereo,
I saw we had the
China,
revolving thing showing
right.
the
And then I won the big prize at the end. I won a car.
That's
And I
funny.
needed a car. I was moving out to LA and I needed a car.
And
And
you
I
want to
really like intentionally, I remember one time being in the shower and saying, I got to win a car. I've got to win a car. And I did.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
The show, it's called Does This Show Make Me Look Fat?
Yes.
I think the world of that. I don't have that problem.
Well, you know what? It's it,
I'm big as a house.
I know, but people who eat too much and people who eat too little have a very
No, no,
similar
and you do a bit about that
reality.
I just think is what the person that said they wish they had it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, I did it was my that's my solo show, which I haven't done now for about, oh God, I can't remember. Maybe less than I did it less than a year ago. But I have too many things that I'm doing right now and
Okay.
it needs to be rewritten and redirected.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put that on the back burner for now, but I definitely want to
Okay.
go back and do
Well,
that show
why don't
because
you tell everybody what you got coming up, and if you want, tell them anything that you want to. This is your point.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, what I do is I work in performing, mostly in performing arts centers, small performing arts centers and clubs around the country.
Right.
And and I also do comedy coaching, which I love doing.
Right. Yeah. And just so you know, I'll put when I air this, I'll put the links to your website and your
Oh, well,
Facebook
thank
and
you.
everything that you
Thanks.
have out there.
Yeah, I love coaching. It's a lot of fun. And I'm going to be opening for Mark Maron at the beginning of May
Okay.
when he does practice shows leading up to his special, and then I'm opening for him the night of his special in Brooklyn.
Oh,
So I'm really
fantastic.
excited. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
really excited
he's
about
out
that.
on the road now. I saw some people.
Yes, so
Yeah,
he's kind of ramping up to that.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm speechless. You blew me away.
Oh.
You blew me away. I had a barrel of monkeys. I don't know. Is there anything else that I'm missing that we should have touched on? I know,
Um,
like the curb thing. I just couldn't get over when you mentioned about George Wallace and getting that gig for $1,000 and how he
yes.
talked about it. And I watched it today and just to hear your version, and
Yeah.
you know, it's just funny.
I know. So many years, how many years have gone by since that? It's just,
Do you have any advice for young comedians that are maybe watching this, or anyone coming up that what the difference is now?
well, I strongly advise that if you want to do this, do it. I was not encouraged, and I really could have used my family's encouragement. My sister, one of my sisters in particular, she and her husband used to always lend me their car on Long Island for me to do gigs, and they were big champions of mine. And my other sister, of course, as well, big champion of mine. But my parents were somewhat reluctant to put their confidence behind me, and it would have made a big difference to me. But that's kind of what a lot of comics come from, um, less than happy childhoods, and
Yeah.
it feeds us. So that's the good news about that. But what I would say is to go after your heart,
Right.
go for what you really lo want to do, your passion, and give yourself time and just allow be honest on stage. Be really, be true to yourself on stage and don't work dirty. I would say don't work dirty. It's a crutch and it's very seductive because if you work blue, you'll get the laughs more easily and you'll become addicted to those laughs and you won't challenge yourself to write smarter.
Wow.
So that's what I say.
Well, and you probably don't remember this, but again, 4 or 5 years ago, I sent you a video of mine on Twitter. At the time, you were big on Twitter,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
went and you quit Twitter the minute I think Elon Musk got it or whatever. You quit.
Yes. Yes.
But I had sent you this video, and you literally said that same thing to me. But you didn't include about not working blue.
Oh, I
I
didn't?
missed that part.
Oh, sorry.
Somehow, I went, Scotty T went downhill on you. I just, I, I'm sorry, Kathy. I only
It's
got the
okay.
first, I didn't get the memo on the second part.
Well,
The first
but
part, no, you literally did. You coached me right then because I remember I sent you it was a really obscure video, and
mhm.
you literally said to me, I said about, I'm getting some heat on it or whatever, and you said, be true to who you are. And I've always held on to that 5 years later.
Yeah.
Look, you can't, leopard doesn't change its spots. Be who you are.
Right. Yes, definitely. And everyone is unique. And I would say give yourself the time to let your voice come out. And you will find that uniqueness if you give yourself the time. Don't manufacture who you're going to be on stage.
Yeah,
Let it happen.
that's great
And
advice.
the re and you understand why I say don't work blue. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm a
No, I
prude.
get it. I get it. But I
Right.
hear you. I've done enough of these, since over the last few years, and that a lot of really good professional comedians. You don't work blue. You do clean comedy. You can do corporate events. You can do cruise ships. You can do. I've had Lester Bibbs
And
on. He's
and you just kind of you elevate the level of the show.
yeah.
And you connect to people in a much more meaningful way, I think.
No, yeah. Well, that's why I brought up your show, and we
Hmm.
skipped over it. Does this
Yes.
show make me look fat? What it's about?
It's about my struggle with an eating disorder with
Yeah,
anorexia.
and
And
that's
yeah,
right.
I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky that I survived. It's got a very high mortality rate.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's a good story. It's a
Yeah,
good
it
story.
really is.
Okay.
You're the crumb of joy I'm stealing for today.
Ah,
Well,
that's
look, I mentioned it to you. I don't know if you can do it for me or not. It's
what?
the name of the show. It's called Your Comedy Minute.
Yes, I
And I
can. But you said
always,
it doesn't have to be a minute, right?
no, it can be 5 minutes. It can be whatever you
Okay.
want. Hang on, let me get you full screen here. So we get you in
Okay.
the full screen, and I
Okay.
will do a formal introduction if we can get the thing
Okay.
working. And you can
Okay.
do whatever you want, however long you want.
Okay.
So here we go. Cathy Ladman, Your Comedy Minute. Go ahead.
Well, I mentioned my ex-boyfriend before, and although this is out of context, but I'm basically friends with almost all of my exes, and there aren't that many. And but this boyfriend of mine, Steve, we're very good friends today, and in the mid '80s, we went to Paris together when we were a couple,
Okay.
and I had studied French in high school, and I retained a good deal of the language, and I was able to navigate through Paris for us.
Okay.
And so I was doing all of it. And so one night we get into a taxi, and I'm about to tell the driver where to go. And Steve says, "No, no, wait, let me do it." And he goes, uh, uh, "Do you speak English?" And the taxi driver says, "Mais oui, monsieur." And Steve looks at me and says, "What does that mean?" And I said, "It means that I'm going to be telling the driver where we need to go." And that actually happened.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful comedy minute. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
You have me laughing hard.
Oh, great. Great.
Well, listen, I don't want to keep you. I do thank you from the bottom of my heart.
That and thank you. I'm sorry it's taken
It
so
means the world
long
to
to
me.
get to this.
You know what? And let's, if it's okay, when you got something coming up and you want to promote it, come back and see me, and I'll do everything I can to help.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Scott. You're a pleasure.